started from below, through the ashes, from the dirt, running from the cold, drawn to fire, love when it burns. When it all comes down to destiny, only you can bend the rules. Walk that road, through the ashes, down from the dirt. They're calling out, calling out, calling out. When the skies are falling, hear the heroes calling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Save the ones still crawling, get behind the falling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Can you hear them calling out, calling out, calling out? Can you hear them calling out, calling out? Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling.
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome everybody, I'm Ellis Thomas alongside in the booth with Chris Smith tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR Gen 6 cars from Autoclub Speedway for the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Autoclub Speedway, nestled in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains, once housed the colossal Kaiser Steel Mill, a thriving industrial powerhouse staffed by 10,000 employees. Born in the crucible of World War II in 1942, this steel mill stood as a pivotal wartime asset dedicated to crafting the very steel that fortified the warships of that era. However, as the tumultuous decades of the 60s and 70s unfolded, the mill's prosperity dwindled. The poignant climax arrived in 1983 when Kaiser Steel, unable to weather the economic storms, declared bankruptcy, ultimately sealing the mill's fate and bringing down the curtain for good. However, in 1997, a remarkable transformation took place on these historic grounds as the 2-mile D-shaped oval track of Autoclub Speedway emerged from the ruins of the steel mill's remnants. The iconic 100-foot water tower, a proud symbol of the Kaiser property, was thoughtfully preserved at the heart of the racetrack, now serving as a distinctive scoreboard. The journey to this rebirth involved the meticulous removal of 21,000 tons of hazardous waste, the recycling of 370 tons of coal tar, and the monumental task of clearing 1 million tons of rubble. It's no longer on the NASCAR Cup schedule, but hopefully racing will return to Southern California at the top-tier NASCAR series in the future. Chris, cinema buffs might recognize the site from its most prominent role, the final battle scene in the second Terminator film with Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1991. What are drivers going to have to do to ensure that their race isn't terminated early tonight and they have a chance to make it to victory lane at the end of these 87 laps?
Well, it's sort of a tale of two different tracks. You've got the long straightaways that you see with, typical super speedway type of tracks, but then you've got the very rough and abrasive surface here in Southern California, and that makes for, like I said, two different types of racing that you see. You're going to see cars slipping and sliding a lot, but you're also going to see a lot of drafting going on these straightaways tonight. We got an expected fuel window of about 46 to 47 laps tonight, so everybody can do this race on just one stop. However, with a second set of tires in the pits, and with tire wear being what we expect it to be tonight, I guarantee you we'll see at least everybody make 2 stops probably. 87 laps, 42 cars here tonight, and right there, as I mentioned before, some high tire degradation expected. Should be a race filled with plenty of action tonight.
Chris, we'll be following that tire story all night long, as well as setting up some other stories for the fans watching tonight to follow during the race. But before we get there, it's everyone's favorite slingshot racing pre-race tradition, the playing of the national anthem, folks. Everyone rise and remove your caps if able. We'll be back on the other end of the anthem. Back here in Fontana, California at the virtual Autoclub Speedway for the Evan Pienta Designs 175 for Slingshot Racing League. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth tonight by Chris Smith. Just about 4.5 minutes before race time tonight, we've got some stories to set up for all the viewers watching at home. First of all, thank you for joining in. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for tonight, Chris, but we've got some interesting stories to set this thing up. First of all, you mentioned it earlier, tires, Goodyear rubber. It's going to be at a premium tonight as drivers work their way around this gritty track at high speeds. What are drivers going to have to do if they're going to conserve tires and be comfortable all night long?
Well, I think that you're going to have to be, varied in your racing line tonight. I think you're going to have to be very aware, very cognizant. You expect to see some drivers come up through the field pretty quickly at the beginning of the race and then maybe fall back, not expecting the tires to give up as much as they will. There might be some drivers out there who expect that they are saving, but these tires really, really give up. They really wear out over the course of a long run here. So I suspect to see a lot of comers and goers in this race tonight.
One of the things we noticed last week was drivers were struggling with aero push. These cars have a big impact on the air in terms of cutting a hole in it and creating dirty air for the drivers around them. How does that work on these race cars, and what kind of issue might that cause for some of these drivers tonight at high speeds?
Well, we bring up the blade, the spoiler often with these cars, especially on this type of track, on one of these, intermediate style tracks. And, that just creates just a bigger wake of air. And with running as close to wide open as you are in these cars, especially early in the run, that means the aero is just at a higher premium. Think about, a restrictor plate track, how important drafting is on those types of tracks. Same thing here, but, you need that extra downforce in the corners that you don't need on a super speedway track like Daytona or Talladega. So the aero push is massive here. So with this track being as wide as it is, you have options. You can search from the bottom lane all the way up to the top lane to try to get some clean air on that nose.
So drivers are going to have options. We'll also be following what options are drivers going to take. Are they going to be running around the bottom? Or are they going to be running around at the top? Now, Chris, all 42 drivers gridding up tonight have actually been assigned to a Apex Energy flavor team. If you didn't know, Apex Energy has 2 new flavors being released, Grape and Ice Bomb. We've kind of created a fun little game for our drivers and for viewers at home over the course of this 8-week season. You can play the flavor fight now and simply go click the link in the chat, in the video description, and answer a few questions about which team of drivers you think is going to perform better for 4 different categories over the course of the race. Either Team Grape or Team Ice Bomb. It literally takes 45 seconds or less. You can see the QR code up on the screen as well. Each correct pick, whether it's Grape or Ice Bomb, gets 1 entry into a drawing for $50 cash at the end of the season. You could get as many as 35 different entries into the drawing at the end of the season. So take a minute, help us out, show some love for Apex Energy, who makes this series possible and has done so for 7 seasons. And vote now. You can find the link in the chat, in the video description, or at slingshotracing.org. And Chris, biggest story of tonight we're going to get to, or one of the biggest stories of tonight we're going to get to here shortly with about 1.5 minutes left in practice. And we can go ahead and actually talk about it. Johnny Rapp is making his 100th slingshot start tonight. That means he has started 100 individual races in Slingshot Racing League, and he's been there, Chris, pretty much all 7 seasons we've done. And they're short seasons with a max of 15 races. These aren't like 36-race full NASCAR Cup Series seasons. It's hard to get up to 100 starts, and Johnny is the first driver to do so. He's kind of been a beacon and a staple of our community over the past 7 seasons. We're going to actually talk to him shortly as he winds down his practice session. We'll pull him in when we get to the grid, but I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. You've raced with Johnny just as much as I have, and I don't think there's a nicer guy on or off the track in Slingshot Racing League.
Yeah, he's a heck of a competitor, a great driver, really fast on the track, but he's always going to treat you fair on the track, and he's like I say, he's just an all-around nice guy, and he's been a mainstay in Slingshot since the very beginning. And I think with the exception of the races that he called in the Mazda MX-5 series that we ran this past season, which he was involved in because he was producing those races and commentating them, he's racing every other Slingshot race that we've ever had.
Yeah, like you said, he's done it all. He's driven, he's commentated, he's produced races on our broadcast channel. So we'll hear from Johnny in just a moment. But with that, it is time to hit the Evan Pienta Designs starting grid. They've qualified. They're ready to line up 42 drivers looking for a chance, a shot at victory lane tonight here at Auto Club. We're going to find out who's starting where right now. On the pole, Randy Bechtel. In that number 51, new paint scheme tonight, we'll be looking for that paint scheme, that white paint scheme, a little bit different than normal for the 51. He's had a good run in the closing races of last season. We'll see if he can continue the momentum this season. Aaron Smith starting second in the number 70. He's last week's winner. Josh Ward in the Boone CDJR car starting in third. Fourth is going to be Logan Truitt on the outside of row 2 in that red, black, and white number 2. Scott Tompkins starting fifth. Good qualifying effort for the driver out of New York. Johnny Rapp is starting sixth. And at this moment, we're going to go ahead and take a second to hear from Johnny Rapp. We're going to bring him into the broadcast booth and talk to him as these drivers get gridded up and see what's going through his mind in his 100th start. Hey, Johnny Rapp, this is the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's happening?
Hey, man. Well, first of all, congratulations. Start number 100 for driver the number 52, Johnny Rapp. Man, I want to go over some stats with you real quick. 3,000 passes you made in Slingshot Racing League, 500 laps led. You've run over 11,000 laps, and you have raced 15,000 miles in Slingshot Racing League. Those are some astronomical numbers. I don't know how you're still standing after all that, but man, walk us through kind of what maybe the biggest moment in Slingshot Racing League for you has been. What's your favorite memory?
I mean, honestly, probably one of the first races. I think the first race I won was here at Auto Club. And I don't know, it was just first and foremost, it was like an exciting finish side by side with Rhett Tucker coming to the line, and you know that whole feeling was just cool, you know. But yeah, other than that, just happy to be out here. Love racing with all these guys, and it's a blast. Whether I win or finish 10th or end up on the roof, it don't matter. I'm still having fun.
Hey, well, you got a good starting spot, starting on the outside of row 3 tonight. Talk to us about what you think it's going to take to get the job done from P6 tonight, Johnny.
I don't know. I think the tires are going to matter a lot. I know we only have 2 sets in the pits, but if there's like a caution, like 25 laps in or something, you might see a lot of guys take them. I don't know if I would, but you might want to save a set for the end too. But
So
that's what I'm looking at.
Tire's going to be a premium. Hey, man, well, we're going to let you get back to it. Just about 2 laps to the green flag. Go out there and have a good run tonight. In the 100 mark, you've hit the century mark for Slingshot Racing. Congratulations, Johnny Rapp. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, and thank you guys for putting on this league. It's a really good community and everything you've built, and it's a lot of fun. Wouldn't be what it is without you guys. So
Hey,
thanks.
Likewise, my friend. We appreciate everything you've done for us. Good luck, driver number 52.
Thanks.
All right, Chris. So you heard it there. Just about 2 laps now, under 2 laps from green flag. We are going to hear from the rest of the starting grid, starting with 7th place tonight. We've got Scotty Sobzak in that number 81, starting from 7th. Landon Cardulo, I believe. They corrected me last week, starting on the outside of row 4 in that number 19. Sam Stoner in the 65, starting 9th tonight. Jacob Zala in the 20, starting on the outside of row 5 and 10th. Ryan Hinkle, good qualifying effort for driver 99 in that black and purple Jeff Burton tribute scheme, starting 11th tonight. Evan Pienta in his own race, the Evan Pienta Designs 175, going to be starting on the outside of row 6. He's coming from 12th. Patrick Piper in the 15 starts 13th tonight. Alberto Alvarez out of Miami, Florida, starting from P14. Sean Johnson's going to bring it to the front from P15 tonight. And in his first Slingshot Racing race, his debut, Kendorian Davis, starts 16th in the number 54. Brandon Waldrop going to be starting 17th in that 21 car. Brandon out of Michigan. Dan Berg in the number 1 starts 18th. He hopes it to get to P1 tonight before the night's done. Number 24, Kyle Ryan, starting 19th. Brandon Ayers coming from 20th tonight in that number 16. Braxton DeWeese, former Slingshot champion, going to be starting 21st. Dale Mickelson starting 22nd to the outside of DeWeese. Justin Wilson, another champion, starting 23rd. He's got his work cut out for him, Chris, if he's going to get up to P1. He finished first in the Clash a couple of weeks ago. He looks to do that again tonight. Steve McDonald starting 24th. Eric Lagasse starting 25th. Robert Hattenback going to be starting 26th tonight, Chris. Run through the rest of them on the grid. You'll see every other driver out of those 42 scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We're just about 3/4 of a lap away from the start of this race, and I think we're in store for quite a bit of action. These drivers are going to be amped up, ready to go. Just to remind you, it's just race number 2 on the season, so there's still a lot of opportunity for drivers who maybe didn't do well at our season opener last week at Charlotte to make some ground up in the points this week, and they'll be looking for every opportunity to do so. It's going to get crazy on these restarts. If you're watching on YouTube in the chat, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We're giving away a free Kyle Larson diecast to one lucky chat participant, so just say hi in the chat. Let us know who you're rooting for. Apparently, we're in the hometown of Connor Lyons' family, so we're glad we can make you smile with that, Connor. Courtney, John, Mark VK, Albie in the chat, Jay Zala, lots of folks chiming in here. Kelly, Brian, we appreciate all of you. Alexandra as well. Pace car is going to peel off. It's going to be Randy Bechtel who leads the drivers into the start-finish line. Looking to start race number 2. Flagman waves the green. We are underway in the Evan Pienta Designs. 175 tonight, 2x2x2 as far as the eye can see as they head down into turn 1. It's Aaron Smith on the outside of Randy Bechtel. That bright yellow car looks to gain momentum on the outside here as they wind their way through turn 2 onto the backstretch, Chris.
Yeah, they are. You see how tight it is up here. One car down on the apron. That's like Steve Vest. I think that he has got it gathered up. But looks like the top lane right here is going to prevail down the backstretch. And you saw how those cars just moved up and down like that. That backstretch is extremely rough, and you see those cars porpoise down the backstretch. You're going to see that all night long tonight.
Yeah. 3-wide battle. Josh Ward almost makes contact with Scott Tompkins as Tompkins swerves it to the inside to try to capitalize on an opening he saw. And Chris, we mentioned it, 3 wide between Tompkins, Ward, and Zala as Tompkins charges down into turn 1 to try to make that pass. These cars are sliding all over the place, but we're still under green. Looks like Ward's going to hang on to it after being in no man's land. He's going to lose a couple of positions on that exchange, Chris. I think he gave up about 3 spots within 2 laps there.
Yeah, he did. But
Randy Bechtel also losing ground.
Yeah, and I think that Randy's kind of just hung out on that bottom, and, you know, sometimes that here at Autoclub, drivers can get lined up on that top lane, especially with these cars, with the, you know, the draft being as important as we see some contact deep in the pack. Looks like
Kendori and Davis, I think, might have gotten into the wall and stacked him up just a little bit. Just kissed the wall, though, in that number 54.
Yeah, we were flirting with 4 wide there coming off of turn 4, but they get it all gathered up, and I think that we got a fight for the lead between Logan Truitt and Aaron Smith. Yeah,
Truitt goes by the number 70. He's going to deal with Aaron Smith off of turn 2, though. It's that number 2 of Truitt on the outside, the number 70 of Smith fighting back for the lead as they charge down the backstretch. Logan Truitt with a big helping push from Landon Cardullo as they head down into 3. Cardullo is going to slip back just a little bit, but he's able to push the 2 out neck and neck with the 70. They're going to dash to the line here. It looks like Truitt might walk away leading this lap, but Aaron Smith's going to try it again down into turn 1 on the inside, Chris. This is what we were talking about in the pre-race storylines. It's going to be about what lane's working and how you can get to that lane around those other cars. And right now, Landon Cardullo's making that outside lane work on the exit.
Oh, we got a crash.
Car in the wall. Couple of cars in the wall. They're going to gather it up. I think that might have been DeWeese. DeWeese, a former champion, gathers it up. We are not under yellow yet. 2 cars go down the back straightaway. No yellow yet, Chris. We are still green. I saw about 2 cars involved in that. Everyone else is going to gather it up. That might have been the number 23 as well.
Yeah,
I believe I'm looking to see Eric Lagasse was involved in that. I think it started around Braxton DeWeese. I don't know how much damage he's going to incur from that because he's still going right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And I think that Kyle Ryan, it looks like to me, yeah, Josh Ward's on the bottom here. And he's kind of sliding up, and there's 2 cars to his outside. And, oh, it actually started behind those guys. Yeah, some contact right there around the 24 and the 65 of Sam Stoner.
So you can see kind of a big stack up starting on the exit of turn 2 and just a lot of collateral damage. Everyone got it going. The racing surface wasn't really in question there. Most cars were safe after that initial breakout. But we are still under green flag conditions. Braxton DeWeese, Chris, he's bringing it to pit road early here on lap number 5.
He's got a lot
trying to
of
get it
damage.
slowed down. He's got significant damage on that 5. I can't think of anyone with worse luck, Chris, in 2 races.
Yeah.
Number 5 now taken out early tonight, taken out in the late stages of the season opener at Charlotte. He's going to be hoping for a caution if he's going to get back in this thing, but that was heavy damage for the driver of the number 5 down the backstretch. I know, unfortunately, he's got some fans watching in the chat. They'll be disappointed by that, but we keep on racing, Chris, and right now the racing has not tamed down or died down at all. We've got, Aaron Smith is your leader. Evan Pienta second, Jacob Zala charging up to third, Chris, after starting in the 12th position.
And Evan Pienta up now 11 spots as he goes for the lead on Aaron Smith.
Yeah, he goes for the lead. Chris, do we have the heart rate monitor, or do we have some technical glitches with that?
Let's see if we can, if we've got it up and running here.
We've got this heart rate monitor. Hopefully we've got access to Evan's heart rate right now.
121.
And there it is. You can see that heart rate for driver number 55 climbing as he charges to the lead right now around the outside of Aaron Smith. Jacob Sala going to try to take advantage of that hole that Smith is giving. Chris, the 70 seems pretty committed to that inside line, so he's right on board with Evan Pienta.
Yeah, you see the run that Zala gets off that draft off the rear bumper of that 55 Ford. He pulls right up on the back bumper of Evan Pienta. Look at Zala go up there on the top lane like that on corner entry. You can make a lot of ground up as far as being fast at the end of the straightaway by running that line. The only question I have is how much tire wear are you, how much, pressure are you putting on that right front as he's going to have a charge to the inside of Evan Pienta.
Yeah, Jacob Zala in the number 20 car. I know we've got some Zala fans in the chat. He's going to try to push through to the lead. Is he going to clear the number 55?
Oh, it's close. Some contact.
Little bit of contact between bumpers of the 20 and the 55. It's going to be the 55 of Evan Pienta tattooing the back of that number 20 of Jacob Zala as they head down into turn 1. The race is on for the lead. Pienta dives to the inside. Zala to the outside. Looks like that outside line's prevailing in most instances on the exit of the corner, Chris. Now the 55 has to defend against the 70 of Aaron Smith.
Yeah, this looks like a lot of fun, but it also looks really frustrating out there right now, just the runs that you can get on people.
We were talking about this earlier after running a practice race at Autoclub. Chris, you had mentioned the runs that you can generate by getting into clean air behind a car. You can close pretty quickly and make up a lot of ground, which is part of the reason why you see so many of these cars, including our front pack, our leaders, so close to each other. Even the second pack back there, Chris, is still able to maintain contact with the front. Right now, we've got the top 27 within 5 seconds of each other on the track.
Ooh,
Three-wide battle going on back here between, looks like Patrick Piper, Scott Tompkins, and Landon Cardullo, or Logan Truitt in the 2. 15 of Patrick Pieper had a big run on the outside there, just to prove your point you were making earlier.
Yeah, it's a tale of 2 different racetracks, really, because, down the straightaway, you see them all try to get, lined up, get that draft, get that pull. But when they get in the corners, they kind of spread out a little bit because you don't want to be following too close to the guy in front of you because your car just won't turn and you just lose the whole front end on corner entry. And that's why you see Evan Pienta about half a lane lower than Jacob Zoller right here, trying to get some clean air on that nose to be able to help that car turn.
Yeah, Chris, another battle going on back here for the 21st position. Dan Berg, Steve McDonald, the 22 of Richard Hurst and Patrick Colby with James Danforth and a head of other cars. Down the backstretch, you could throw a blanket over these cars back in 21st position. Dan Berg on the outside in that black and blue number 1. Steve McDonald in that 42 Mountain Dew paint scheme. You can see these cars are close and they're wiggling around the track as we watch Dan Berg make the move to the outside. Dan Berg out of Gladstone, Michigan on that number 1. He's got a helping hand from Richard Hurst, broadcaster Richard Hurst, in that 22 in that Noma TV car. He is pushing that number 1 further out in front of the rest of the pack right now.
He is, and right here, if you're these guys, I think that you got to get lined up because the draft is so important here. This pack up here, while they are racing really hard, they are running very fast lap times in comparison. So I think that maybe you oh man, is there almost 4 wide up here? Johnny Rapp and Patrick Pieper get together.
Oh my goodness.
This is insanity.
Heavy racing, intense racing, 4 wide again down the front straightaway as a slow car gets passed to the inside. But right now, you mentioned it, Chris, this action is not letting up anywhere on the track right now. Johnny Rapp dives to the inside of the back bumper of Aaron Smith. They're chasing Cardulo, Pienta, and Zala for the lead. Pieper gets into the side of the 52 of Johnny Rapp. Contact, that 15 hot dog machine wiggles a little bit down the backstretch. He gives up about 5 or 6 positions, Chris. You mentioned it. Speed and momentum are everything here. If you give up any of it, like we just saw with that 15, with a little bit of contact, he had to give up 5 positions. He sets his sights getting those positions back right now down the front stretch. Patrick Pieper in that 15 doing the best he can. Is there a little bit of aero side draft going on there between those cars? Very close quarters for the 16, 25, and 15, Chris.
Yeah, there definitely is side drafting because if you just put that right front up against the left rear of one of these guys, you can almost just pull them back to you.
Randy Bechtel loose down the backstretch off of turn 2. He looked like he was in an Ayers-Piper sandwich there, Chris.
Yeah, with Ayers and Pieper on both sides of him. Yeah, he gets it squared away though, and he's going to make it, see if he can charge back up to the front. But yeah, you definitely want to do a little bit of side drafting here, But with that comes a little bit of risk. It's a risk versus reward type of deal. If you side draft too much, or if you're too aggressive with it, you run the possibility of having some netcode contact.
Yeah, netcode has been something we've dealt with last season heavily. I'm not sure what changed on iRacing's end, but we saw it a lot. 3 wide here, battle between, looks like the number 21 or the 20 up there. Sorry, I'm just going back a little bit. The number 29, the 32, and 58. That 29 is Alberto Alvarez, who's, Chris, he's worked his way up to 7th position on the outside in that number 29 pink and black machine. He is working his way forward, trying to get by Justin Wilson and Johnny Rapp now for the 6th position. That outside line is moving. Does that come at a cost? As Alberto Alvarez, as he's running lap times near close to the leader, is he giving up anything on tires by running up high?
I mean, I think so. Like, if you stay up there, I think that going up there is definitely an option. I think the drivers that you see that are running low, maybe like Aaron Smith right here, I think maybe towards the end of this tire run, I think you could definitely see, as Landon Cardulo gets loose right in front of Aaron Smith, I think that you could see Aaron eventually migrate up to the top and be able to run some extremely fast laps if he were to do that. And here he is right here. He's going to the top, and look how he's able just to get through the center of the corner. I don't think we're quite far enough into the run yet to see the huge benefit to it, but I think it will definitely pay off.
Yeah, Jacob Zala running 43.5 right now. Alberto Alvarez was a 43.7. Aaron Smith was a 43.6 that time. So leaders all within about a 10th and a half of each other. 3 wide battle. Scott Tompkins ducks it underneath the 19 of Landon Cardulo and Sean Johnson. Tompkins trying to move to the front, Chris. He's trying to get back to where he started in the 5th position, working underneath Alberto Alvarez. That 25, I talked to him in pre-race. He got some new pedals. He's struggling with them a little bit, but he's looking like he's loving them right now out there in that number 25, working his way up to the 7th position, trying to get back up to the top 5.
Yeah, we see a lot of drivers moving up to the top right here. I wonder if the bottom is just slicking off just a little bit, and even some drivers who were running the bottom earlier. As we see Aaron Smith going to make a bid for second right here. He's got some help from Logan Truitt. Truitt's going to abandon him and go back to the top.
A push from the 55 to the back of the 20. Set sail that 20 into turn 1 on the outside. Aaron Smith now on the inside, charging to try to retake the lead. That number 7, Chris. Contact there. The 20 on the wall. Pienta goes underneath. Will the field avert catastrophe? They do, but Zala, critical error there.
Yeah, he got loose.
18 of 87. We mentioned it. Cars getting loose. That outside, if you've been running it, tires are probably falling off a little bit for drivers like the 20, and we saw him pay the price on the exit, Chris, of turn 2 right there. Aaron Smith, Evan Pienta, Logan Truitt, all going to capitalize on that mistake. Scott Tompkins isn't letting up, though. He's going for 4th underneath Slingshot champion Justin Wilson, who's made his way up from 23rd, Chris.
Yeah, you see, Wilson is the big mover of the race, up 18 spots. Pienta up 10 spots. And yeah, Scott Tompkins saw those two get together off of 4 earlier. I think Wilson was trying to give a push as we see Alberto Alvarez get a little bit loose. And Sean Johnson going to make it 3 wide.
Yeah, Sean Johnson taking advantage of Scott Tompkins' lost momentum, and he's going to try to take 2 for 1 here in a 2 for 1 special underneath Justin Wilson. He's got to be careful to hold that car down and not to slip up into the left side of Justin Wilson. He's going to be successful in that, but it's going to cost him a couple of spots. Chris Alvarez is up to 5th position, working his way by Tompkins and Sean Johnson there. That number 29 car is on the move as he chases down now Justin Wilson and Logan Truitt here on lap number 20 in the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Aaron Smith is your leader. Evan Pienta second. Logan Truitt going to be third. Justin Wilson fourth. And Alberto Alvarez fifth. Tompkins in 6th. Jacob Zala working his way back up to 7th after some issues a couple of laps ago. But you mentioned it, Chris. Many of these drivers have moved up to the top line. Here's the problem I see with that. I'm already starting to see it. As you back off for a high, looks like the 19 of Cardulo gets loose off the corner. These drivers are on top of each other, headed down into the corners, and I'm seeing a lot of stack ups. That could be dangers here in upcoming laps as we're about approaching the halfway mark of the tire or a fuel run here. We said around 46 to 47 laps. We're almost halfway through.
Oh, we got a crash!
Caution, Tompkins, Alvarez, Zala, chaos down the backstretch. Sean Johnson in it. Everyone else stays out of trouble. Caution on the speedway and lap 21. Going to return to the scene of the crime here and see what happened.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and look at it, but I think this is a situation where they were 3 wide off of 2, and they ran out of real estate. Like somebody, yeah, it looks like Scott Tompkins sliding up just a little bit right here when they were 3 wide. Well, actually, yeah, they were 3 wide back here, and at some points they're 2 wide. It's really hard to tell, and Scott's in a really difficult spot here. We're going to sort of slow this down just a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean. So right here, Scott thinks they're 2 wide. He doesn't count on, I think, Jacob Zala putting it in the middle 3 wide right here. And I guess he expects Zala to go out towards the wall. And it looks like Alvarez is actually squeezing up out of the throttle a little bit. And Tompkins, you just can't see that car out there, so you just don't know. And unfortunately, Sean Johnson gets a little bit of damage. Not sure how badly he's hurt in this deal, but that looks like one of them racing deals to me.
Yeah, just not enough room there as drivers kind of pushed up the track as a kind of a natural effect of the tire wear. Right now, Chris, lap 22 of 87. I'm curious. Pace car has picked up the leader, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, and Evan Pienta. They're going to look like pit road's going to be open this time by here on lap number 22. I'm curious to see. I would imagine we're going to have some takers. Pretty much everyone going to be coming for tires and fuel with 3 sets of tires, 2 left in their pit stalls. They'll have one set of tires left after this, Chris. 1 car stayed on the track. I think that might have been, was that Josh Ward in the 52? It was.
Yeah,
Josh Ward in the 92, my apologies, stays out on 23-lap old tires. Maybe going to try to lead a lap here. Curious about that strategy, starting on old tires in front of a pack of brand new tires. But you look at the battle off pit road there, Chris. Aaron Smith looks like he won that battle. Randy Bechtel going to come off second.
Actually, they're still on pit road, I believe.
Oh, yes, sorry.
And yeah, Aaron Smith is going to win the race off pit road, and I think that Aaron Smith did not take 4 tires there. I want to say that was a fuel-only stop, and I see, it looks like got a few guys taking just fuel only.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Aaron Smith might have been fuel only. Johnny Rapp, Randy Bechtel, fuel only. Robert Hattenbeck, fuel only. A lot of drivers, varying strategies. We're going to sort it out for viewers at home here in just a moment. But first, we've got to pay some bills. All of this is brought to you by our partners, Apex Energy and Evan Pienta Designs. We're going to hear from them. We'll be back on the other end of this break. You're not going to miss a moment of live racing action here under Green Flag.
Hey, Slingshot Racing League. Larry McReynolds here with NASCAR on Fox. I hope you're all doing well. You're watching Slingshot Racing League.
All right, back here in race number 2 for the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. It's that Boone CDJR car, Chris. Josh Ward in that 92. He's going to be your leader on this restart coming to lap 25. It's going to be him and Steve McDonald. They're on old tires, and I think we've got several drivers up front on old tires, including Hinkle, Vest, Rapp, even Smith and Wilson, we believe.
Wilson's on 4.
Wilson's on 4. He's the first car on 4 tires, but it's going to be on Josh Ward to lead him down. He takes the green flag in the restart zone. McDonald struggles to get going. Another car struggles to get going. Chris Steve Vest sideways down the front straightaway. Cars are going to have to go on top or up below. Car into the wall on the inside, but Chris,
we got to crash Steve Vest.
Jacob Zala sideways through turn number 2. Big crash. I think most drivers are going to be able to stay out of it. And Chris, we kind of could have predicted that. We mentioned the varying tire strategies. 23-lap old tires. That's the big ask for a lot of drivers to be able to keep up and stay out of the way with drivers on fresh tires. And we kind of saw the dividends of that just a moment ago with 2 separate incidents. One happening on the front stretch right at the green flag. I believe one car got into the wall pretty hard there. And then a separate incident happening further behind.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Thomas back here. I think Paul spun the tires in that 40 machine. You see him and looks like Gabe Rogers right behind him. And you see the 40 machine sort of step sideways right here. And unfortunately, they come together and they slide through the infield. And meanwhile, while that's going on, Steve Vest, I think up here, he had a little bit of trouble getting going on the restart. And you can see right here, just, he's in a hornet's nest, 4 wide. In the middle right here, cars going around him on both sides, and I think he and Jacob Zala get together right there, just in the scrum right there. Vest does a nice job of saving it. Jacob Zala does a nice job, too, of locking it down and making himself predictable, and both of them, I think, are going to be just fine.
Yeah, hot tip in the chat right now. Joe in the chat says, check Brandon Waldrop's view of that in the number 21 car. He says, it's a wild ride for the 21. As we cue that up, one thing I'm noticing, Chris, we've had some big spins tonight, but everyone, for the most part, is doing a great job of staying out of trouble. A lot of these incidents could have been a lot worse than they were because the driver's heads up driving, staying out of the fray. So we watched 21
he does.
on board.
Yeah, that's a great view, and he squeezes right through there, does a nice job of finding the gap and going for it and being committed to it. So, yeah, nice job by Brandon Waldrop to miss that crash.
Yeah, that was commitment. In those situations as a driver, you got to make the decision. Am I close enough to where I can mash that throttle and get through it? You kind of got to judge the speed and the distance. And right now, Brandon Waldrop did a really good job of that on that lap number 25 incident, rather, coming to the restart there, Chris. Josh Ward still your leader. Steve McDonald in second. Aaron Smith third. Johnny Rapp fourth. Ryan Hinkle your top 5. Justin Wilson, we believe, is your first car on 4 tires based on the pit lane speed that we're seeing. So look for Justin Wilson to be on the move here, Chris. But speaking of on the move, some drivers who've worked their way through the field. Steve McDonald up 22 positions. Obviously, some tire strategy involved there. Justin Wilson up 17, Chris, after starting 23rd on the night. We saw him have a good run in the season opening Daytona Clash. Last week, I believe, Justin Wilson, I'm looking at the results from last week, Wilson finished in 10th position.
Yeah. Looking
to do a little bit better tonight here at Auto Club in race number 2. He looks like he's got the speed to do so tonight.
Yeah, he had that penalty. He and his teammate Rye Jones got together. He had that EOL penalty late in the race. He ran really well in that race. So I know he'll be looking to have a little bit of a points rebound this week after, sort of losing out on some from that very uncharacteristic mistake.
Yeah, a couple other drivers moving through the field on merit. Chris, Rye Jones up 21 positions, up to 14th after starting 35th on the night. He's our hard charger leader, the Boone Hard Charger award given to the driver who moves up the most spots on average per race. Rye Jones started from tail end of the field last week and almost pulled off the win, had to settle for 3rd place, but he's looking to do something similar tonight. Another driver has moved up, Chris, Daniel Blau in the number 17. He's in 18th right now. He's moved up 13 positions after starting 31st in that number 17. Looks like that's a Rainbow Warrior Jeff Gordon paint scheme on that number 17.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, I
Go
want to
ahead.
give a quick shout out to him. Yeah, a great move up through the field right there. And also from this guy right here, Patrick Colby, up 27 positions on the night, all the way up to the 9th spot.
Yeah, we've got some big movers, and Autoclub is one of the tracks that tends to allow that with the high speeds and multiple grooves. We've seen drivers making use of the top of the track. We've seen them making use of the bottom. Really curious to see here. We're going to have another restart where we've got drivers on different tire strategies. You've got some old rubber. You've got some fresh rubber. What's the front of that field going to do? Pace car is going to bring it down pit road here in just a minute, and Josh Ward has chosen to start on the inside. We're going to see what kind of restart Ward can get here on old tires. Pace car driver is going to peel off pit road. It's going to be Josh Ward who's going to lead him down to the start finish line into the Geico restart zone. We're under green flag once more here on lap number 28. Number now 29 at Auto Club Speedway. Ward gets away cleanly. It's Smith in tow behind. The battle right now is going on for 4th and 5th with the number 55, Evan Pienta, Justin Wilson, Randy Bechtel. Ryan Hinkle, Chris, he's on old tires, but he's hanging tough there on the inside. Johnny Rapp slides up the track a little bit, 3 wide down the backstretch. Wilson's got some help from his friend Evan Pienta, who's got a rising heart rate there as he pushes Wilson down into turn number 3. We're still under green flag here, Chris. Oh, Randy Bechtel, Scotty Sobczak. Sobczak walks it up the track in front of Daniel
they're
Blau.
5 wide.
5 wide. Can we hold on to it? Car down pit road. Is he going to keep it out of off the track?
Oh, Scott
They won't.
Tompkins.
He collects 2 cars. Tompkins gets collected. He's going to most certainly hit the wall, but he actually keeps it off that interior wall. Wow.
Man,
I think we might have been 6 wide there for a second, Chris. It's really hard to avoid an incident when cars are 6 wide down the front straightaway here.
yeah, Brandon Ayers on the bottom right here. Yeah, I think that he ran out of room, and it wasn't his fault. It was just, he was kind of getting bounced around like a pinball. We're going to go back here and see if we can get a good look at this one. I'm going to sort of slow it down, and yeah, we'll count them here. Counting the 17 up there at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide here coming off turn 4. And yeah, he's just getting bounced around from the 54 to the 2 on his outside. I thought he was going to have it saved right there, but he didn't want to come down pit road like that and get a penalty possibly. And so he spins it out through the grass. Unfortunately, collects Scott Tompkins as he comes back onto the track. Tompkins is going to spin right there. I don't think anybody else was involved other than those 2.
No, another incident, right, where we've got what could have been catastrophic crashes. Now into the 3rd caution here on lap 31 of 87. We're inching towards that halfway point tonight of the Evan Pienta Designs 175. But you mentioned it, Chris. No one else involved. Looks like about a 2-car incident. And when you're 5, 6 wide coming off the corner, it's sure as heck hard to avoid a crash with that fight for real estate. But I think the luckiest driver there, Chris, might have been Kendorian Davis. If you take a look at that rear view mirror on board, that number 54 about got sucked up into that incident, but he mashed that throttle and he got clear of it before he was worse for wear.
Yeah, we're right on board with Scott Tompkins right here, and he's trying to guess which direction Brandon Ayers is going to go, and yeah, unfortunately, he just didn't expect him to come back across like that, and get it back. Yeah, he gets it back to the right and avoids that pit road wall right there.
Don Hilbrun's in the chat says cautions, breeding cautions, Don.
Yep.
Absolutely. With a big track like this and the close quarters racing, absolutely, we're seeing the product of that. We went green flag racing for over 20 laps here, but now under a 3rd caution on lap 32. Josh Ward in that 92 car still scored as your leader. Aaron Smith 2nd. Steve McDonald 3rd. Justin Wilson 4th. Evan Pienta rounding out your top 5. And that was going on behind Evan Pienta, so I doubt his heart rate climbed up too much in that. Yeah, but there's the Kendorian Davis view we just saw. Kendorian up to 11th position, Chris. Moved up 5 positions so far. Having a good run tonight in his slingshot debut. And speaking of slingshot, these things aren't free, so we've got to hear from our partners. I promise we will be back in just a moment. You're not going to miss anything. We're going to hear from Boone, CDJR, as well as UD Awards. We'll be back on the other end of this break. It'll all be side by side.
Hey, Slingshot team, how you guys doing? Your amigo Daniel Suarez here. Have a great time, amigos. Stick around. Bye.
guys, it's Josh Ward with Ram Commercial, and this season we're partnering with Slingshot Racing League to make sure our members can get wholesale manufacturer pricing on any Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram you choose. Whether you're just looking for a vehicle for your family or for your business, we've got you covered. Contact me directly to see how we can help.
Tired of generic trophies that gather dust? UD Awards creates custom trophies that become the highlight of your league ceremony. We worked with them to design these stunning pieces, from brainstorming ideas to holding the finished product. Don't worry, if you're not the artistic type, UD Awards has a massive catalog of unique designs and all sorts of materials, from classic wood to sleek acrylic or dramatic metal. And the best part? They're surprisingly affordable. Don't settle for ordinary. Make your next award ceremony extraordinary with UD Awards. All right, back here, getting ready for the green flag, coming to lap 34 out of 87 for the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Race number 2 for Slingshot Racing League in their summer season. Josh Ward is your leader, Aaron Smith second. We're coming off of a caution, and again, Chris, we've been mentioning it. Cautions have bred cautions. A couple of viewers in the chat have made that point, but right now we're seeing a lot of drivers practice a lot of skill in getting through these cautions without turning them into bigger incidents. But one of the things we're going to be keeping an eye on, we've got a handful of drivers still on old tires starting up front here. And while that isn't the direct cause of the caution, when you've got cars stacking up and stuff, the opportunities present themselves for some close quarters racing and maybe a little bit of extracurricular activity. So we're going to watch as the pace car peels off here. Josh Ward in that white and black number 92, he's going to be in charge of the restart once he hits that restart zone denoted in blue. He hits that throttle. We are back under green. Ward gets away cleanly. Aaron Smith gets away cleanly. McDonald's being hounded by the 55 of Evan Pienta in that dark black and blue car as they head down into turn 1. Pienta, meanwhile, has Justin Wilson to his outside. There's a scrap going on right now for the third position. Pienta tries to dive high to go above Steve McDonald. Wilson's going to follow suit. He's going to bring the 91 of Rye Jones with him. But meanwhile, further back through the pack, Chris, we got 4 wide racing. Going to be headed down into turn 1. Now 3 wide between the 22 of Hurst, the 19 of Cardulo, and the 88 of James Danforth. 3 wide racing in multiple positions right now, Chris. I don't know what to follow. Patrick Piper drawing up to the back bumper of Randy Bechtel. Meanwhile, Kendorian Davis tries to duck low to block the advances of the 2 of Logan Truitt. Kendorian Davis slides in front of the 9 of Patrick Colby. We're under caution once again. Looks like the 18 of Jordan Ives. Dan Berg involved in that, Chris. I think the number 54 tried to slide up in a hole that was there, but what it did was it forced a couple of cars to lift on the throttle, and it just stacked them up, and it's another example of a stack up. That's going to collect the 33 of Dale Mickelson, who's going to be taken out of this race on lap 35, Chris. Handful of cars. That's probably the most casualties we've seen in one of these cautions so far as we ride on board to see what exactly happened here.
Yeah, we're going to try to look at this from an overhead perspective and maybe see if this created a little bit of, I don't even know if I put that on, I don't even know if I really put that on Kendorian Davis at all. That looked like the
Daniel
17
Blau,
of,
maybe.
Daniel Blau. I don't know if he was reacting to the 54, but yeah, he moves up into he just hooks to the left rear of the 9 and unfortunately turns Patrick Colby down in front of the rest of the field there. Unfortunately, I can't quite get
Cardulo involved, Ryan Hinkle involved.
Yep.
Several fast cars involved in that lap number 36 incident. We're almost to the halfway point here in the Evan Pienta Designs 175. We're going to make it now onto the 5th caution. Heavy racing, intense racing going on tonight, producing quite a few yellow flags early on in the going, Chris.
Yeah, and you see Dan Berg right here, Brandon Waldrop.
Oh, man, Matt Scherf. Maybe with about as good of a pass-through as Brandon Waldrop had earlier, avoiding that crash in that number 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that Matt Scherf's got a lot of damage. Unfortunately, yeah, he it looked like he was going to get through, but I think there might have been netcode contact. Then he slid down into the 33 of Dale Mickelson. Dale Mickelson goes up and over. Unfortunately, I think he's got a lot of damage. Possibly is where Brandon Waldrop gets his damage that you
Chris,
see.
is that 3 cars that have rolled over in 3 races this season?
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, this one right here, yeah, that was just I think that was just a little bit of a just a error and like just where everybody was on the track. But yeah, we can kind of see a little bit of the after effect. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find the number 18 of Jordan Ives. I saw him. I don't know how bad his damage is if he got through here. I think he got a little bit of front end damage in that deal. Yeah, unfortunately so. He was being very patient right there of trying to avoid it. He did a nice job getting on the brakes and just a little bit of contact with Brandon Waldrop. But yeah, it was unfortunate incident right here.
This has a very restrictor plate or super speedway race feel to it. And Chris, we talked about those raised spoilers cutting such a huge hole in the air that decrease the resistance on these cars, giving them the ability to close up on one another and stay close to each other. Now, the inverse of that, the downside is without that air pressure being pushed down onto these cars, there's less grip, right? We're seeing some of these cars move around a little bit more than we normally would in a different style of track.
Yeah, we see the ride that Patrick Colby went for. He was up in the midst of all that. We'll actually see if we can ride on board with Dale Mickelson. I think he had a little bit of a connection flash. I don't know how much of this we'll see right here. He tries to shoot the gap for the bottom, and I think he gets hooked in the right rear in the car. Yeah, it doesn't go all the way over, rides the wall for just a little bit, but I think his night is done based upon the damage that we're seeing right here on that car.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate for Dale Mickelson as well as some other drivers here coasting around just with about a lap before the restart. Wanted to mention again, we're so glad everyone's tuned in to watch the race tonight. If you're watching, if you're enjoying the racing, I know we've had some crashes, but we've seen some intense racing. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and give this video a thumbs up just to let us know you enjoy what you're seeing. And we want to thank you by giving you the opportunity to win a Kyle Larson, California driver, by the way, a 164th Kyle Larson diecast. We're going to choose one lucky viewer who comments over the course of the race to give that away to. We'll send it to you absolutely free of charge. And I've got another challenge for you if you're watching right now. Take the link. There's a share button whether you're watching on the computer or your phone. Share it with a friend or family member you think would enjoy watching. Get them on here for a minute to say hi as well and root on their favorite driver or the driver you're rooting for. Right now, Chris, Evan Pienta is going to be your leader. Is he secretly sort in the lead? He's definitely going to be starting on the inside, but I think, did Josh Ward elect the outside that time?
I think Evan Pienta has the lead.
Okay.
I think he was able to grab it from right there when we had that battle right before the caution flag.
Yep, pace car peels off. Evan's going to bring him down. We're keeping an eye on his heart rate up top as well. Josh Ward doesn't get going quite like the 55 of Pienta does. He's got Justin Wilson to his back bumper. Aaron Smith looking to the inside. It's Wilson now to the outside. That purple and white machine trying to take third from Aaron Smith. Wilson, a former slingshot champion, setting his sights on the front. Johnny Rapp quietly working his way back up to 5th position. Chris, Patrick Piper, or Pieper I should say. I've said it Piper so many times. Patrick Pieper has got one of the faster cars tonight. I know we've got some Pieper fans watching the chat right now. That hot dog mobile is working his way up. Now 5th, going for 4th, but Richard Hurst on that outside looking like Superman, Chris. Right now, he is flying past Pieper and setting his sights on Aaron Smith in that 22 machine.
Yeah, Hurst all over the back bumper of Aaron Smith, pulling right up onto the back bumper of that yellow number 70. I think that Aaron Smith's going to take advantage of that push that he got down in turn 1. Look to the inside of Justin Wilson while Hurst goes to the outside here.
Hurst going for 2nd place on that outside. He's got that outside rolling. Meanwhile, we've got racing going on through the entire field. James Danforth also trying to work his way to the outside. Patrick Pieper to the inside there. Aaron Smith feeling quite a bit of pressure here. A couple of other things I'm watching back there, Chris, behind Pieper. We've got, looks like Kendorian Davis has worked his way back up to 8th position. Johnny Rapp to the outside. There goes Tompkins to the inside, trying to take advantage of that hole Davis opened with Robert Hatt back up there as well. Chris, I'm seeing the 70. He's struggling a little bit. What's going on with that 70 right now, you think?
He's on a little bit older tires than maybe some of these guys that are around him. Some of these guys are on 4 freshies, and one of those guys is Evan Hansen, who has pulled out to a pretty comfortable lead right here. Meanwhile, we're not really seeing Josh Ward fall back like as fast as Aaron Smith. I don't know if Aaron got maybe hung on the bottom there, maybe got freight train possibly.
There we go. Yeah, here we go. Josh Ward looked like he was holding up the field a little bit. Danforth and Pieper are going to be left to settle it. This is a battle for 4th position, or 3rd position, I should say, down the front straightaway. That Napa Auto Parts machine of Danforth to the outside, Pieper to the inside, the 15. 3-wide battle going down into turn 1 right behind them. Kendorian Davis, Chris, running some of the fastest lap times on the track in that 54. He's up to 5th position as he works his way back up through the field. He's on a little bit fresher tires, Chris, right now, but it doesn't matter. He's looking like Superman out there as he closes up on the back bumper of this battle for 3rd position between Pieper and Danforth. He's working that outside pretty well right now.
Yeah, he is, and he is moving up through the field right here. And I think Scott Tompkins just got around him. Yeah, he's just had a view right there, but Tompkins going to move up into the 5th spot. Scott Tompkins is a former Slingshot winner here at Auto Club. I believe he won here in the Xfinity Series cars a couple seasons ago. So he's no stranger to victory lane here at this track.
Played the fuel strategy well, looking to maybe do the same thing, but on tire strategy tonight, Tompkins moving his way up into the 5th position. He's got Davis behind him in the 54. Robert Hattenbach, let's talk about the driver of that number 3 car right now. Chris, Hattenbach started in the 26th position. He's up to 7th position right now in that Wrangler mobile. Good drive right now for Robert Hattenbach out of Friendswood, Texas. And right now, he's not really caring about Friends. He's looking at getting his way up further through the field in that number 3 machine. Hattenbach, Slingshot newcomer, first season with us, but it wouldn't show as he gets that machine into the top 7 right now.
Yeah, he does. And meanwhile, we got a battle going on right behind him between Sam Stoner and Josh Ward. That's a battle for the 8th spot. Stoner's going to take it from Ward. Meanwhile, behind him, you got Alberto Alvarez charging up the outside right there, while Rye Jones and Justin Wilson are underneath him.
Man, Alvarez had to be having deja vu and flashbacks there of that earlier incident around lap 25 where he got pinched up into the outside wall. He almost fell victim to similar circumstances right there, but he avoids disaster. That 29 machine,
oh, the 17's around.
17 of Blau around again. He brings it back up in front of the field. It's under control. Great save for the driver of the 17. We stay under green flag conditions. Lap 45 of 87, just about 42. We are across the halfway mark right now in the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Evan Pienta is still your leader, Chris, but Richard Hurst is closed up to the back bumper of that 55 EPD machine.
Oh, Daniel Blau's going to go around. Oh, some contact with Steve McDonald.
Caution is out. Looks like Daniel Blau, for 2 times now in a row, unfortunately, is going to bring out the caution. Let's see if we can find out what happened to the driver of that number 17. He finds himself in the middle of a 4-wide fight, Chris.
Yeah, it looks like the car is really tight to me, and he's sort of struggling with the balance right here. But on the outside, he's got Jordan Ives right here, and Ives just right on there, right on his outside, and he just kind of slides up into him right here. Yeah, he just kind of slides up into him, just sort of loses the nose, and thought he might save it again. His tires are probably still a little bit angry at him from that slide before, and he slides right down into the path of Steve McDonald, loops it around. Everybody misses him right here. It looks like Paul Thomas, Steve Best taking evasive action right there, Brandon Waldrop going around him on the outside. So, once again, an incident that could have been worse that wound up not being too bad.
Yeah, so the tail of the tape tonight is we've had now 6 cautions, but not really, other than that last caution, the collateral damage has been fairly minimal. I know the drivers involved would not agree with that here on lap number 46, but all in all, 42 cars starting tonight, Chris. Big field, tight racing here on a big, almost super speedway-like track in these Gen 6 cars with these big spoilers. It's been a wild one as we hit the halfway mark. Evan Pienta, your leader, but in the closing stages, Chris, Richard Hurst in that number 22 was showing a lot of speed closing in on the 55. Meanwhile, we've got looks like two different strategies emerging. I think we're seeing the drivers who had stayed out the last couple of cautions now electing to come down pit road. Josh Ward, Brandon Ayers, Justin Wilson, Johnny Rapp, Sean Johnson. A lot of these drivers coming for fresh Goodyear rubber here on lap number 47. We'll keep an eye on that battle off of pit road to see who's going to win it. And that is going to be an important battle. We mentioned two different strategies emerging here. These drivers are they coming to get their second set of tires, meaning they'll have one left after this pit stop?
These guys right here, most of them are taking their first set. A lot of them took fuel only before.
So they'll be on their second set. They'll have one remaining.
They have one
remaining.
And
they roll off of pit road. I believe, did Scotty Sobczak win that battle off pit road? Or actually, sorry, Johnny Rapp and Aaron Smith came off before him. Ward maybe came off first. Sorry, my timing screen's a little bit behind, but we'll get that sorted out for you. Looks like Josh Ward did win that battle off pit road. Brandon Ayers is going to be 17th. Josh Ward right behind him in 18th. And
Brandon Ayers was on pit road, but I don't think he took four tires. Of all the cars who took four tires, Josh Ward is the first one off of pit road right here. And I'll tell you, a guy, and Josh Ward really needed that. He needed those tires, but a guy I think that needed that a little bit more was Aaron Smith. Smith was sliding back through the field. It looked like the car was super, super tight. He was really struggling with the car, and I know he's really happy to get four fresh Goodyears on that machine.
Yeah, Smith was outside of the top 10, I believe, when that caution flew on lap number 45. So you mentioned Smith is lucky. I know the rest of the drivers going to be hoping he's not too lucky getting those fresh Goodyear rubbers here on lap number 48. Evan Pienta is still your leader. Richard Hurst is second. They're going to be getting lined up here for the restart, Chris. Patrick Pieper, fast car all night, is going to be starting fourth. Scott Tompkins and those new pedals going to be starting fourth. Ken Dorian Davis, fifth. James Danforth, sixth. Robert Hattenback, seventh. Top seven hasn't changed. Stoner's going to be eighth. Alvarez, ninth. Ry Jones, Chris, into the top 10, I believe, for the first time tonight after starting 35th. He's up 25 positions on the evening. And what I'm noticing about a lot of these drivers, Chris, inside the top 10 right now, they all started further back in the field. So lots of drivers working their way up to the front via tire strategy and just pure speed halfway through the race tonight. That'll be something to keep an eye on. These guys who started out in the front, where do they shake out here in the next few laps? And one of the things I'm just want to remind viewers about, we've got that Flavor Fight Challenge for Apex Energy going on. We'll go ahead and throw up the which drivers with each flavor, Team Grape or Team Ice Bomb, here for the next couple of laps to let you know how Team Grape or Team Ice Bomb is doing. But it's going to be Evan Pienta who's leading the field to the restart. Here, pace car is going to work its way off of four. He's going to dip down onto pit road. It's now on Pienta to mash that throttle when he's ready. Once he enters the restart zone, he does it about halfway through. We're back green flag racing. That heart rate rises for driver number 55. You can see it on the top right hand of the screen. Patrick Pieper to the inside of Richard Hurst. Battle for second is on as drivers head down into turn number one. Richard Hurst to the outside, Pieper to the inside, Tompkins and Danforth following Richard Hurst out of turn two. They work their way down the backstretch. Everyone's still bleeding green at this point. Ken Dorian Davis trapped on the inside there. Tompkins now going for third position. Mega run down into turn number three for driver number 25. Tompkins is going to try to channel that run down into second position. He's got to be careful not to slide up. He lifts out the throttle side by side. Almost contact coming to the line between Pieper and Tompkins. Tompkins trying to get a bit of a side draft on Pieper to keep him even, deaded down to turn one. It doesn't work, and Richard Hurst able to fight back on the inside, on the outside there, Chris. A lot of drivers have elected, moved up to the outside at this point.
Yeah, you see Tompkins slide right there on corner exit. He's going to get brake trained a little bit down the backstretch here because of just the line that he's in. You know, we saw him make the charge up there originally, but here comes Justin Wilson on the bottom, 3 wide.
Yeah, Justin Wilson looking like he shot out of a cannon there at the number 58. But meanwhile, Patrick Pieper battling for the lead with Evan Pienta. You can see that heart rate on the top right hand of the screen climbing as Pieper took a look to the inside there. Richard Hurst not letting go of the back bumper of that number 55. He pushes Pienta down into turn 1. Meanwhile, Chris, Rye Jones up 7 positions since the restart. Now they've got to deal with Justin Wilson. I can't really figure out what to focus on here as Wilson goes for the lead. That number 58, Chris, he's on the freshest tires of all. He has been shot out of a cannon on this restart.
Yeah, he has, and you see he and Rye Jones, both those guys on new tires right here, moving their way up right here. And Rye Jones has a little bit older tires, but, you know, they're both newer compared to maybe some of their competitors. It's like Richard Hurst trying to really push that rear bumper of Evan Pienta right in front of him, pushing past Rye Jones, and maybe pushing past Justin Wilson here. I think Evan Pienta's going to ride a flag right here.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Huge run. Pienta takes that run to the outside, lets off the throttle a little bit, gets it gathered back up. Justin Wilson to the lead. Pienta second. Danforth loose off of turn 2. Almost creates a stack up behind him. That's a battle going on for the 5th position. Danforth's got a handful of Kendorian Davis, Patrick Pieper, and hey, be on the lookout. That 20 of Jacob Zala, after being in 2 incidents earlier, back up to the 9th position. 3 wide. Davis to the outside, Danforth, Pieper, they've got to give each other room. Smith takes advantage of it. He moves to the inside. 4 wide across the line here on lap 52. Aaron Smith takes the 4-for-1 special there, Chris. He's not taking any prisoners on those fresh tires.
Man, this is just so intense right here. And Aaron Smith, we talked about how he was in trouble before, how he had those old tires, and it looked like he was sliding back.
Johnny Rapp and Landon Cardulo further back. Contact coming out of 2. Sorry to interrupt you, Chris. I thought we were going to be waving a yellow flag there for a second, but both drivers get it underway, and we're continuing under green. Sorry about that. Drivers working their way off of turn number 4 right now. It's a mega battle between pretty much every driver on the track. Justin Wilson has about 5 car lengths on Evan Pienta, but Richard Hurst trying to change that. He's going to slot into 2nd position here. Richard Hurst to 2nd, Evan Pienta to 3rd. Wow, we've got intense racing. James Danforth and Jacob Zala sideways off of turn number 2. Drivers get it gathered back up. We're still green flag racing here at Autoclub. Chris, can you hear me at all?
Got you loud and clear as Sam Stoner pulls up on the rear bumper of Jacob Zala.
Heavy battle going on here, middle of turn 3, now exiting turn 4. Again, Chris, I'll say it, I don't know where to focus.
4 wide down the front stretch right here at the line. Patrick Pieper in a really difficult spot right here with Sam Stoner to his outside. Is Landon Cardulo backed off right there. I think that he realized that that was a low percentage situation that he was in right there.
Yeah, Cardulo showing his wisdom there, backs out of it. Now we're going to go 4 wide as James Danforth really struggling with the handling of that car on lap 55. Stoner, Pieper, and Randy Bechtel try to take advantage of it. Now Cardulo to the inside. It's a 3-way fight. Will Logan Truitt make it 4 wide off the corner? He's got that outside line rolling as well. You can see Patrick Pieper, Chris. He is sliding around there as he is now back to 14th position after starting 3rd on this restart about 6 laps ago.
Yeah, you know, compared to some of his counterparts, he is on pretty old tires, so that's why you see that 15 Costco machine sliding back the way it is. And, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, Evan Pienta, he is
Tompkins and
4 wide again.
Interrupt. Chase Berry down
Tompkins
inside.
in trouble.
Tompkins collects Berry. They're going to collect Stoner. 29 of Alberto Alvarez hits hard into the driver's side door of Scott Tompkins. Berry's going to have heavy damage here, Chris. We called it. These drivers are sliding around, and when you get those 4 wide situations, it's hard. It's a low percentage situation, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to blame this on people because you're 4 wide. So, I mean, like, I take this with a grain of salt. You know, if anything, I would say maybe Scott Tompkins is crowding a little bit too much to the guys on his outside. He's got a little bit more room to the bottom. But I'm also looking at this, you know, from an overhead perspective. I'm not there in the midst of the battle. So, yeah, we'll just sort of follow along right here. Chase Berry's diving for this spot right here, and the 25 and the 20 start bouncing off each other. Yeah, the 25's got a little bit more room to his inside, and he just kind of gets sideways, bounces off of him a couple times, and unfortunately, Chase Berry, who's not doing anything wrong, gets hooked in the right rear, turned into Sam Soner, who's also doing nothing wrong, and Patrick Pieper trying to get through there. He also gets turned. And the 81 also involved was like Scotty Sobczak. Not sure how bad the damage is on his car. Lots of cars involved in this that hadn't been involved in crashes all night.
This was a little more collateral damage than we've seen most of the evening. It just that crash continued to work its way further and further inside down the back stretch. And usually the inside line is where you want to go to avoid those wrecks, Chris. But there was no hiding from that for the likes of Scotty Sobczak and Patrick Pieper, who initially had made it their way through it. Another driver impacted, Alberto Alvarez, who had already been involved in an earlier crash, had worked his way back up through the field.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be involved in pretty heavily hitting the 25 of Scotty Tompkins. And just you had nowhere to go. You could see the brakes on that number 29, but you couldn't prevent the sliding in the number 25 by Alvarez. So tough break for a handful of drivers here on lap 58, Chris. But this leaves us with about 29 laps left till the finish of this race. Drivers going to have to think long and hard about whether they're going to come in for tires right now. Evan Pienta, I'm showing him on 35 lap old tires. This would be Pienta's second set of tires, I believe, if he takes them right now.
Yeah,
or his
believe
third
so.
set. His third set.
He's got to take them now, I think.
He's going to get chewed up and spit out. We've seen so many cautions, though, tonight. That's kind of where the strategy play is and why it's so difficult, because you don't know when that final caution is going to fly. You saw we went over 10 laps there, green flag, but you don't know where it's going to fall this time. So we're going to keep an eye. Pit road, I believe, is going to be open.
I think it might have already been open, Ellis.
Yeah, it was already open. Richard Hurst was the first driver to hit. He came off first as well. We're going to sort that out, and we're going to take a moment to hear from our partners right now at Apex Energy and Martin Sports. And you're not going to miss a moment of the action. We'll be back for all green flag racing. We'll go side by side. See you on the other end of the break. All right, back here in Fontana, California, the virtual Autoclub Speedway for race number 2 of the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. Getting ready for a restart in about a lap here. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth. We've had our fair percentage of casualties tonight, for lack of better words. We're now under our 7th yellow flag of the evening for a 5-car incident starting down the backstretch out of turn 2. Getting them gridded up here for the restart, Chris. Justin Wilson is going to be your leader. Aaron Smith's going to be second. Evan Pienta in third. Johnny Rapp in fourth. Kendorian Davis going to be starting on the inside in fifth position. Rye Jones up to sixth position. I'm looking through right now, Chris, and I'm seeing we've got two cars fourth and fifth on 37 lap old tires. You've got Rye Jones on 23 lap old tires. How much of these casualties do you chalk up to drivers being on different tire strategies and some just being faster than others, kind of working their way through the field, some stack-ups happening?
Yeah, I think the tires are definitely a big part of it. I think that the biggest thing is that it's just these cars on this track, just this type and this brand of racing is, just is the way it is. And I think it just kind of lends itself to the possibility of this happening. And, that deal right there, it's easy for me to look overhead and say, like, oh, well, these two cars right here, might have caused it. But, it's just the, a product of this type of racing, I think, more than anything else.
It absolutely is a product of this type of racing. This is as close to super speedway racing as you're going to get without it being super speedway racing. Right now, Aaron Smith and Justin Wilson gearing up for the restart. It's going to be Wilson, who's the control car. He's going to have to wait till that blue Geico restart zone to mash the throttle. He does it, gets going. You can see him get a jump. Aaron Smith, not quite as good of a restart. It's going to open the door for Johnny Rapp, sitting in second position now, going, I should say, for second position. He'll be to the inside of the 100 start of Aaron Smith, looking to go to second place. He's got, looks like 14-lap old tires. It's not equal tire strategy here, Chris. Big stack up in the back of the field. Several cars have to dodge a slow car.
Oh, Wright Jones in the wall.
Wright Jones, heavy contact with the wall, almost collects Josh Ward in the number 92, who had to take evasive action. Randy Bechtel had to also miss that one, taking some evasive action. That was intense, Chris.
It was. I'm not sure if there was some contact that possibly led to that, but I think everybody's going to get away from this right here as we get a little bit single file right here. I don't know how long we'll stay that way, though.
Yeah, Josh Ward immediately dives down to the inside. We are under yellow,
we got another car spinning.
Another caution. That was, looks like the
Alberto
number 29
Alvarez.
of Alvarez and the 9 of Patrick Colby. That was Kyle Ryan. Just came up initially. Oh, no. Looks like Alvarez might have been trying to take the corner into one, just did not realize the 24 was still there.
Yeah, we're going to look at this one also from overhead. And, yeah, another instance of 4 wide. Just not sure that, 4 wide is, necessarily what we got to have every single second of the race. But it kind of makes it a little bit frustrating. But, yeah, I just think that, maybe you don't have to take every single run that you get. And, yeah, I don't know how they wound up 4 wide, though, so I'm not going to speculate. But, yeah, it looks like Alvarez looks to the inside right here. And, yeah, really close right here between Ryan and Berg. They make a little bit of contact, but they get away from it. Paul Thomas up there on the outside. Everybody's giving a little bit of room right here. And Alvarez is just trying to, give himself a little bit of, an angle for the corner right there. He moves up a little bit. I'm not sure if the 24 moves down. Like I said, when you get into this, you're splitting hairs. Talk about cars moving. I mean,
yeah, it's not obvious one way or the other. And from my perspective, it looks like Kyle Ryan's moving up the track to kind of maybe side draft the 1. And if I'm the 29, I'm looking in my rearview mirror. I don't see that 24 as clearly anymore, and I'm thinking maybe I'm clear. So the 20, and that's not the 24's fault. I'm kind of trying to place myself in the driver's seat, and I could definitely see that happening here. But regardless, the outcome is still the same, Chris. We are under our, I believe, 8th caution on lap 63. Just 24 cars, 24 laps left here in the Evan Pienta this Heinz 175. Several cars going to be coming down pit road here for fresh tires, and this most surely will be their last set, with just 23 laps now remaining in this race.
Yeah, this sort of sets the stage right here. We'll go back live right here, and we're looking at Patrick Colby right here sitting on pit road. But yeah, a lot of cars on pit road right here looking to take their final set of tires.
Not a fun view if you're Patrick Colby with all that damage from that last wreck. But you mentioned it, several drivers on pit road right now. Going to look to see who's going to come off pit road first. It looks like it was Kendorian Davis. You got it right. And the number 54, he's going to come out 18th. Evan Pienta looking like he's right behind him. Nick DeCesare, James Danforth, Matt Kuntz going to roll off behind Danforth as we work to get this thing gridded back up. Hey, the bad news is we've had a handful of cautions tonight. The good news is it gives us a couple more opportunities from here from our critical partners who bring this all of this racing to you. They help do giveaways for our drivers, and just overall, we're a better league for them. So we want to give them their shout outs here. We're going to take a moment to hear from Boone, CDJR, as well as Butt Kicker. We'll be back at the end of that break.
Hey guys, it's Josh Ward with Brand Commercial, and this season we're partnering with Slingshot Racing League to make sure our members can get wholesale manufacturer pricing on any Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram you choose. Whether you're just looking for a vehicle for your family or for your business, we've got you covered. Contact me directly to see how we can help.
Hey, back here in Fontana, the Virtual Auto Club Speedway, getting ready for the conclusion of the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Race number 2 on the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. Schedule going to be Justin Wilson and Aaron Smith, 2 former Slingshot champions, lining up to duel on this restart. Coming up on lap number 66 of 87. We're just right under or above 20 laps to go, watching the cars pace around for the final time before we get back going. That last crash took out 3 or 4 drivers. Hopefully, Chris, we can make it to green and make it to the end of the race without another yellow. But we mentioned it 4
You are
wide.
so optimistic.
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to will it into existence here, putting it out there into the ether. You know, it's been an exciting race, but those four wide opportunities have created a lot of opportunities for yellows, Chris. Justin Wilson looking to blow by that yellow car on the outside here. Coming to the restart, Smith goes through the gears, so does Wilson. It's going to be a duel at the start-finish line. Wilson's going to take the lead at the start-finish line. They're headed down into one. Smith not letting go yet. He's on the outside. There's a hole there. Johnny Graham's thinking about taking it. He thinks better of it. He's got Josh Ward to worry about to the outside. Chris Braxton DeWeese is being shot out of a cannon. Superman there on the outside after being involved.
Oh, we got another crash. James Danforth.
We got another crash down the backstretch. Danforth, heavy contact with another car.
Paul Thomas.
Not sure what happened there.
Saw both those cars in the outside wall, and I think I saw another car shoot to the inside. We'll go back to a look at this and see what might have occurred. Oh, yeah, it was like Nick DeCesare.
It was another 4 wide situation.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, Nick DeCesare and Paul Thomas, I think they were bouncing off each other right here. We're going to look at this from overhead right here. Kendori Davis goes around the outside of Thomas. Looks like Pienta, DeCesare trying to shoot the gap. And yeah, DeCesare kind of got in a tough spot right there. Pienta was coming up his inside, and he was also trying to pass Paul Thomas. I think Thomas had a little bit of trouble getting going on this restart, looks like, and unfortunately it just created a bit of a stack up right here, and Thomas into the wall. Looks like Danforth into the wall as well. I think everybody else is gonna get away with Rye Jones comes by and unfortunately tags James Danforth, it looked like.
Yeah, that was wondering how heavy that contact was.
Yeah, we'll go back again and see if we can.
Oh, yeah, that number 91, I think that's split. That's unfortunate for that 91 of Rye Jones there here on lap number 67 of 87. This is some some stuff going on, Chris. We've had a lot of casualties early on here in this race, and every single one of them has been in a 4 wide situation. So
yeah,
it's just unfortunate timing, especially when you're working your way by maybe slower cars. Drivers, they're drivers. They're instinctively going to try to go as fast as possible, and sometimes maybe discretion needs to be shown a little bit. You mentioned that the 4 wide situations are difficult. Drivers looking to capitalize on those restarts, it creates dicey situations. So not making excuses for these drivers, because obviously we always want to see less cautions here in Slingshot Racing League, but we're getting down to it here, and the intensity, if it wasn't big in the beginning, it continues to climb here in the final quarter of this race. Aaron Smith still your leader, Justin Wilson second, Josh Ward third. Johnny Rapp, Chris, I want to give a shout out to that number 52. His 100th race, he started fifth. He's up to fourth position. Started sixth, rather. He's up to fourth position right now. He's a driver that we could see eke it out here. He's on the same tire strategy as the rest of the top five.
Yeah, he is. And yeah, I was just going to say, he is on the same tire strategy, and he's just been keeping that nose clean all night. And want to give a quick call also to Braxton DeWeese in that 5. He had so much damage early in the race. I thought that he was cooked for the night. I thought he was done. I didn't think there's any. I just thought he might even just retire the car. But he has been patient. He has been getting his car fixed on pit road under every single one of these cautions, and we've had a lot of cautions for him to get that car fixed. And you know, that crew's done a nice job. And look at that thing up here in the top 10 now.
Yeah, they have taken full advantage of the opportunities to fix that number 5 car, and he has got it rolling through the field. We saw him one of the fastest cars on that restart. Obviously, he's on, I believe, his final set of tires, Chris, here, so that's going to play a role. He's got what? Actually, no, he's not on his final set. I think he's, yeah, he might be. He's got 11 laps on this tire set, so he's probably hoping for as many cautions as possible at this point, Chris. These drivers on old tires looking to make it to the end on this final set. But you've got a lot of drivers like the top 5, Smith, Wilson, Ward, Rapp, and Bechtel, I believe, who've got a set left. So it's all going to come down to here how the cautions fall. Setting things up, coming to lap 70 of 87. It's going to be 18 laps remaining. Smith and Wilson are going to be starting from the front row. It's going to be Josh Ward, who's quietly been in the top 6 or 7 all night long. He's in third. Johnny Rapp to his outside. Logan Truitt up to 6th position right now, Chris, on the outside. That's a name we haven't heard in the top 10 in a minute. He's worked his way up after fixing some damage on that number 2 to the outside of Randy Bechtel. And we're getting ready for a restart here. Jacob Sala as well in that 20 up to 8th position. A lot of drivers looking to get to the front in a hurry in the closing stages of the Apex Energy Summer Series Round 2 here. Aaron Smith's going to take us down for the restart. He hits that restart zone, mashes the throttle. We're back under green flag conditions here. Smith jumps out to lead. Looks like Wilson struggled to get going, even with a push from Johnny Rapp, Chris, headed down into turn number 1. Logan Truitt takes it to the outside, 3 wide. I want to keep my eyes on the back of the field, though, because that's where we see all the action early on in these restarts, Chris.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of contact about halfway to you know, like you said, towards the back of the field. But, you know, as this race goes on right here and the strategies sort of come together, everybody gets a little bit closer to an even playing field, especially with the amount of cautions that we've had. The guys who have just come to pit road, they don't have as huge of an advantage as maybe the guys earlier did.
No, they do not, as we had more caution flags and just not as much wear being put on those tires. Braxton DeWeese. Dangerous move to the inside as Ward tries for position. DeWeese looking for 2 positions now under the 52 of Johnny Rapp. This is a battle for 3rd position. DeWeese on the freshest tires in this pack, looking to work his way up to the front now with just 17 laps remaining here at Autoclub. Meanwhile, a battle between Robert Hattenback and Evan Pienta begins to develop down the backstretch. This is a battle for the 9th position. Pienta 9th, Hattenback on the outside in 10th, trying to make it 9th. They've got Logan Truitt right in front of them in that number 2 right now.
And Hattenback gets a good run up on the top right here. He's going to try to latch on, possibly. No, not going to quite get there to the rear bumper of Logan Truitt. Meanwhile, behind them, we got 3 wide Daniel Blau on the inside of Kendorian Davis. Trying to go 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh, yeah, Blau has had a handful of that 17 car all day. They go by Sala. Blau works his way up the track. Davis has to get out of the throttle there. He's loose off the corner. You can see it, but a whale of a job keeping the car under control. We've had a change for the lead, Chris. Up front, Justin Wilson has surged to the front by Aaron Smith, but Braxton DeWeese.
Oh, some contact!
From the back of the number 58. It's going to be 3 wide as DeWeese gets in the back of Wilson. Here comes Johnny Rapp to the inside of DeWeese. 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Aaron Smith ducks down to cover Johnny Rapp. 3 wide for 3rd place, headed down into turn number 1. Chris, the intensity is picking back up. 4 wide.
4 wide.
Even the Ward, Rapp, and Braxton DeWeese on the inside, now 3 wide. Thank goodness they're going to get it sorted out, at least that 4 wide situation. But
Evan
Ward
Pienta
Rapp
going for the lead.
surge high. Yeah, Pienta to the lead. That heart rate, Chris, it is upwards of 150 right now. Looking at the top right hand of that screen, Evan is excited as he surges to the lead with just 15 now, almost 14 laps to go. Sean Johnson up there in the 32. DeWeese is loose.
Hurst and
the
DeWeese get
22.
together. Yeah,
My goodness.
Richard Hurst was flying up through the field earlier. I was going to call it earlier, but yeah, he was flying up through the field up on the top, just going by cars left and right, or actually they were all to his left because nobody was higher on the track than he was. But Evan Pienta is sitting in a great spot right here. He has the best tires, not by a lot, but Sean Johnson also has some really good tires compared to the rest of the field as well, and he moves up into the second spot.
Yeah, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, and again, that's a big if as we watch Josh Ward, Justin Wilson, Johnny Rapp, and Richard Hurst mix it up on the extra turn 4, Chris. That's a big if we go green the rest of the way, but you mentioned it, Pienta and Sean Johnson are in the catbird seat. They're hoping for green flag action the rest of the way, but as soon as we say that, Sean Johnson's got a handful of that number 70. Oh, big old rear view mirror full of yellow there for Sean Johnson. Nothing, that's nothing that Slingshot driver wants to see is yellow in that rear view mirror.
Yeah, and Richard Hurst clears Josh Ward to move up into the third spot. I think Hurst is sitting in a really good position right here to maybe, I don't know if he can do anything with Evan Pienta, but he can definitely get up to the podium here.
Yeah, he is on the freshest tire, 7 laps compared to the 11 of Pienta and the 17 of Sean Johnson. Meanwhile, Smith and Ward, collectively, they have 28 each on those sets of Goodyear rubbers, Chris. So Sean Johnson reeling in the 55, Chris. We mentioned that big back spoiler allows these cars. As we watch Richard Hurst, he goes as high as you can go on this track. You mentioned it a moment ago, Chris. That 22 has got that outside line rolling. Battle between Hurst and Sean Johnson down the back straightaway for second place. It looks like Hurst isn't going to clear him this time. He does actually, headed down into turn 3. It's Pienta, Hurst, and Johnson, followed by Aaron Smith and the number 54 of Kendarian Davis.
Yeah, and here comes Hurst to the inside of Evan Pienta. A challenge for the lead here.
Challenge for the lead indeed. Evan Pienta, Richard Hurst side by side. Looks like it's sorted out for now. Richard Hurst going to try to make another run at it down into the corner. He has got the fastest car on the track, Chris. Here comes Braxton DeWeese, though. I mentioned fast cars. DeWeese in the 5 going for 5th position. He's got one of them, too. Almost a caution there. Sean Johnson really loose off that corner off of 2. We've seen that be a real big problem spot for drivers all evening long right now, Chris, as they sail it down into turn number 3. 10 laps left. We're coming to 10 to go here. Pienta is your leader. Richard Hurst is second. Sean Johnson trying with his mightiest powers to hold off the 70 of Aaron Smith. Caution on the front straightaway. You're going to find out who that was here in a moment. Looks like Brandon Waldrop and the 00 of Nick DeCesare. Chris, would you believe it? It's another 4-wide situation. I don't think we've had one of these work out all day long, Chris. And it's going to be frustrating from a driver's standpoint to see these things happen out there.
Yeah, it looks like the 21 and the 29 both bounce off of each other. Yeah, we're going to look at this from overhead and the 21, moves up a little bit. Doesn't quite hold his line the way that you need to for 4 wide right there. And unfortunately, Nick DeCesare, an innocent victim, as they get together right there. And, it looks like Jordan Ives right there, unfortunately, collected in that incident as well.
Yeah, tough night for a lot of drivers here, Chris. This has been one for the record books in terms of cautions, but the style of racing we've seen has kind of fostered this intensity in these 4 wide.
Yeah. A lot of cars on pit road right here taking their final set of tires. This is what they were hoping for.
Yeah, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, Braxton DeWeese, Sam Stoner coming down as well. A lot of these drivers, Chris, getting the caution that they were hoping for.
Yeah, and, the question remains, can they get through the field cleanly in the time that they need? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see.
And it's, again, we talked about situations that are going to promote intense racing and potentially more cautions. We're going to watch the battle off pit road between Aaron Smith and his competitors, Josh Ward, Randy Bechtel, Johnny Rapp, Logan Truitt. See who comes off first. Braxton DeWeese rolls off pit road first, followed by Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, Josh Ward, and a handful of other cars behind him. That's going to be pivotal, Chris, for that number 5. If he wants to put it in victory lane at the end of the evening, he's going to have the first position to do it from of the drivers that are on fresh tires. And this creates a really tall task for drivers like Evan Pienta, Richard Hirsch, Sean Johnson, Kendorian Davis, and all the drivers in front of these guys. And I say this all, Braxton DeWeese is going to have to start from 12th position in past 11 cars with what's probably going to amount to an 8-lap shootout here on the restart, Chris.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him, but he does have an advantage. What these guys on new tires can't have is for this thing to restart and then a quick caution. If they get a quick caution, unfortunately, I think they're going to find themselves in trouble as Kendorian Davis is acting. I think he's just running on the apron. I don't think he's coming to pit road. But, yeah, I think they really need this thing to go green to the end here.
We'll see if we go green to the end. Right now, we're going to hit our final commercial break, and you're not going to miss a moment of green flag racing or the rest of the race. Final commercial break coming up. We'll hear from Apex Energy and DSS Sim Racing Hardware. All right, back here in what might be the final restart of the race. It's going to be an 8-lap shootout. It's Evan Pienta and Richard Hurst at the front of the Apex Energy Summer Series field presented by Boone CDJR. It's going to be Sean Johnson and Kendorian Davis for a 3rd and 4th. And then it goes all the way back to 11th, Chris, before we have our first driver on fresh tires who came in down pit road that time. Pace car peels off. Evan Pienta and Richard Hurst going to lead him to the green flag. Pienta gets a great jump on the rest of the field. Hurst struggles to get going a little bit. Sean Johnson going to try to take advantage of that. Meanwhile, Hurst has a mirror full of Kendorian Davis and Robert Hattenback on the high line, joined by Scotty Sobczak now in 6th position, Chris.
Oh, man, Braxton DeWeese
on the outside. Clears several cars, but Justin Wilson trying to take it 3 wide off the corner. Car in the wall behind Vernon back in the field. How desperate is Braxton DeWeese? That he's outside
pushing
line,
Hattenback.
big time push. Evan Pienta's got about a 6-car lead on the rest of the field, but Braxton DeWeese, Chris, he is rolling that top line on those fresh tires. He's going to have to get under Kendorian Davis real fast.
We got a crash!
Sobczak, Hattenback. Another car on the front straightaway. That got the 54 of Kendorian Davis as well. Several cars in the wall. Steve Vest was one of those. Scotty Sobczak was collected. Derek Fike, Nick DeCesare involved. We're going to return to the scene of the crime and see exactly what happened there.
Yeah, I think it's, you don't want to hear it, Ellis, but I think it was just, it's just the nature of this racing right here. And yeah, they get really close right here. Yeah, it's a 4 wide, almost 5 wide situation. We're going to look at this thing from overhead. You got Braxton DeWeese all the way up on the wall right there. Sean Johnson trying to charge up between the 3 of Hattenback and the 81 of Sobczak. And yeah, he just gets to moving, wiggling around, and unfortunately hooks Sobczak into Hattenback, and Logan Truitt involved in that crash. Oh, we got a secondary crash going on as well. I'm going to try to get eyes on this as well. Kendorian Davis and Braxton DeWeese also had a crash. Looks like Kendorian Davis was in trouble. Oh yeah, so there's a couple different things going on right here. So you saw that initial crash.
Oh yeah.
So
Those were not related.
yeah, DeWeese is trying to maximize his momentum right here, and unfortunately tags the rear bumper of Kendorian Davis, gets Davis into the wall, and then they get together again right here. DeWeese into Davis. Davis spins through the grass. Unfortunately, Johnny Rapp involved in his 100th start.
Hard hit for Rapp against the door panel of Kendorian Davis. I think Braxton DeWeese might have made it through there. Luckily, because the caution had already come out, Chris, I don't think he's going to have to sacrifice his position. He's going to be restarting third behind Hurst and Pienta here on what's going to be a 4-lap shootout, most likely.
Yeah, and it looks like there's another crash back here, sort of like, sometimes when people start reacting to crashes, you have other crashes.
Yep.
The 20 into the 1 right here, so Dan Burr goes spinning through the grass. I think the 20 was maybe a little bit late to the brakes right there. I think that maybe the 6 as well of Steve Vest, looks like he was also a little bit late to the brakes right here, trying to miss this crash, and unfortunately this wreck turned into a little bit bigger of an incident than what it probably should have been.
Yeah, and we'll our race controller will be taking a look at that. Right now, we're taking a look up at the front, though. Let's talk about the strategy and what's going to play out over these final laps, Chris. Evan Pienta is going to be your leader. He's on 19-lap-old tires. He's got Richard Hurst behind him, who's got 15-lap-old tires. But then there's Braxton DeWeese and Justin Wilson on 4-lap-old tires apiece, Chris, in third and fourth. They're going to be the ones we're keeping an eye on, but I think Johnny Rapp, I don't know how much damage is on that 52. I'm showing him scored in 7th. Aaron Smith in 8th with 4-lap-old tires. Josh Ward in 9th with 4-lap-old tires. We're going to see some slicing and dicing here, and God, that just makes me nervous based on what we've seen all night long. Hey, let us know in the chat. Who do you think's going to win this race? Last chance before we go ahead and do a random drawing to pick a winner for that Kyle Larson 100 or 164th scale diecast. Let us know who you think is going to win the race in the chat. Let us know if you think we're going to make it to the checkered flag without going under yellow again, about half a lap away from the restart here. Chris DeWeese saying, what a comeback for the 5 of Braxton DeWeese. We couldn't agree more. Kelly Goins says, good. Let's go Richard. We got a Richard Hurst fan. Lots of drivers with fan support showing up tonight to root them on. And hey, they're in second and third position right now. So we're going to see those two guys mixing up here in about half a lap. I think we're going to be on the lookout for some intensity here, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, why not? We've seen it all night, and these guys, I don't expect it to get any less intense here on this restart. I was about to say the final restart, but I checked myself real quick because I don't think that that's going to be the case.
Hey, well, we can be hopeful. We can be hopeful. Okay, Evan Pienta can be hopeful. We're going to watch that heart rate on the right-hand side of the screen as Evan Pienta is going to lead him down. He has a knack for winning his own namesake races, Chris. He's done it twice. Will this be the third time Evan Pienta wins an Evan Pienta-titled race? We're going to find out here in a moment. Pace car is off. Evan Pienta mashes the throttle. He gets a heck of a restart, Chris, but so too does Braxton DeWeese in the number 5. He gets out in front of Justin Wilson, who's got his hands full of Richard Hurst in front of him. DeWeese now moves up to the outside line. He's going to try to truck that number 5 around the top of the 55, but Pienta throws the block.
Oh, DeWeese loose.
Inside. Justin Wilson to the inside. 3-wide battle for the lead down the backstretch. Wilson seems to have the advantage. The 22 puts the bumper to Pienta. They're side by side. Pienta's still in the lead, but he's got a handful of Justin Wilson and Braxton DeWeese now, who's not going to let Wilson clear him. They head out of turn number 4. DeWeese has a corner to the number 58 of Justin Wilson. DeWeese has the advantage, but Aaron Smith climbs in the fight. He's going to hit the back bumper of Justin Wilson. Chris, this is getting crazy. 3 laps left at Auto Club.
Yeah, Justin Wilson's going to have to drive around the inside of Braxton DeWeese. I don't expect the 5 to give up the top here. He doesn't want to try to give up that lane for momentum in these final 2 laps of the race. As Pienta in the wall. Hurst is around.
Hurst,
Johnny Rapp.
A couple of cars down the back straightaway. We're going to stay green as far as I can tell. I believe we are still under green flag conditions. DeWeese and Wilson duking it out, but Chris, there is Aaron Smith to the outside. He's going to go up the track. Braxton DeWeese still maintains momentum. We're coming to 2 to go. There goes Smith. Ward makes a move with him. White flag is out here at Autoclub Speedway. This is it. Aaron Smith to the lead. Does Braxton DeWeese or Josh Ward have anything for the 70, or is he going to go back-to-back here at Autoclub Speedway? DeWeese sideways. Josh Ward is going to be the car to keep an eye on. Down the back straightaway, it's Ward looking to draw a draft from the 70. Can he do it? He's going to move to the top. I think he's going to run out of time, though. That 70, Chris, is just too good. The number 92 continues to gain a little bit of momentum. I don't know if he's going to have enough. He's going to make a shot here. Can he do it? Side by side to the line. It's Smith over Ward by what amounts to 2/100ths of a second, Chris. That was a barn burner. At the line, it's Aaron Smith over Josh Ward.
Wow, what a finish. What a finish to a crazy, crazy race. And Josh Ward gave it everything he had. I didn't think he had a shot, but he really maximized his momentum through 3 and 4 and gave Aaron Smith the run for his money coming to the line there.
Great finish. Several drivers kind of ending up in trouble on those final laps, but Aaron Smith manages to hang on over Josh Ward and Justin Wilson. Braxton DeWeese, after being involved in an early incident, brings it home in the 4th position. Chris, Steve McDonald winds up with the top 5. Great finish for Steve after starting in the 24th position tonight. We're going to hear from the top 3 drivers in just a moment. All right, we're back here at Autoclub Speedway. We're going to hear from the top 3, starting with Justin Wilson, our 3rd place finisher. We'll go ahead and bring him into the booth. Justin Wilson, driver of the number 58, 3rd place finish tonight, man. Congratulations. I know you probably wanted to be in victory lane, but how does that 3rd place finish feel amidst the, I don't even know how to describe the race tonight. Walk us through the level of intensity that you felt out there on the track.
It was frustrating, really, but I mean, all in all, I'm happy with the 3rd, especially since I've been just killing qualifying these last 2 races and been starting back 20th plus. It's been definitely difficult trying to get through the field. I thought we had a shot there at the end, but I know me and whoever it was, Deweese, I believe, we just kept checking each other's run up, and I was trying to clear them, but just couldn't, and it just let them slingshot by us, and there's nothing I can do, but kind of glad we're over with this.
Oh my goodness, track, you and me both.
We'll move on to the next race, which is like, more horsepower and a short track. So hopefully we all get our P's and Q's, but I'm ecstatic for a top 3 though. It feels good after what happened last week, which I felt like we had a winning car last week and ended up finishing in the back. But I'm happy with the 3rd, man. We'll just keep pressing on.
All right, looking for that 2nd Slingshot Racing League championship. Headed to a different style of track next week. I know you're going to be looking forward to that. Before we let you go, you got any shout-outs, Justin Wilson?
Yeah, I'll give it a shout-out to you guys for putting the show on, obviously. The league, it's always been fun running here. Shout out to Aaron. He makes it difficult because he wins every single race. So these short season, he seems to win them all. So it's kind of hard, but we'll hit it up next week and give it a whirl. Thank my teammates. I think we all did pretty good this weekend, and we'll move on.
All right, man. Justin Wilson, great run. 3rd place for the driver number 58. Have a good night. All right, so you heard from Justin Wilson. Now we're going to bring in Josh Ward, driver of the number 92 Boone CDJR car. Got to try to find him in the broadcast booth. See if we can drag him. Josh Ward, driver number 92, 2nd place finish tonight. Congratulations. This is Ellis in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, man, you made a run of it there at the end. I think if we had another 10 yards of racetrack, you might have been on the other end of that in victory lane. Probably don't want to talk about most of that race as the intensity was high. 4-wide racing was maybe occurring a little bit too often, but was it as intense out there as it looked from the booth?
Yeah, our team's plan was just kind of keep our nose clean, and some of us were able to, and then others just kind of got caught up in a few wrecks, unfortunately. But yeah, just kind of played our cards right and got a placeholder 1-2.
Man, congratulations on that. Was there anything differently walking back through that final stretch? Anything that you look back on and you wish you had maybe done differently that maybe would have put you in front of the 58 in front of the 70 at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think going a little bit higher in 3 and 4, we were in the same chat, so I talked to him a little bit about it afterwards, and yeah, I think just going a little bit higher, but he was fast. He definitely had the fastest car, deserved to win. So, congrats to him, but just barely missed it right there. That kind of stings a little bit, but it was a ton of fun battling back to the line.
Hey, man, well, you put that Boone CDJR car in a good spot. Got a lot of airtime for our partners over there. Any shout-outs before we let you go celebrate P2?
Yeah, all the guys that support us, Boone CDJR, LN Cart, guys at Placeholder Racing. Yeah, the guys I run with, it's, hate to lose, but if I'm going to, it's to a teammate, and, we all got something to be proud of.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on P2. Go out there and celebrate. We'll see you back next week with another shot at victory lane.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, so you heard from P2 there, Josh Ward. Now we're going to bring in our winner. Second week in a row, we're going to hear from Aaron Smith and see what got him into victory lane at the end of tonight's race at Auto Club. Driver number 70, Aaron Smith. It's Ellis in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you.
Hey, man, 2 weeks in a row. You talked about coming out here and winning 2 weeks in a row when we heard from you last week. And there was a moment of the race early on where you were really struggling on tires, I believe, in that first run. The cautions fell your way tonight. Walk us through how that car was handling and kind of where your mind was when you were really struggling out there early on.
Yeah, if you weren't lined up on the outside with everybody else, you were absolutely cooked there on the bottom. There wasn't much you could really do. You could get a really good run through the center of the corner running against that white line, but as long as the folks were in the draft on top of you, you couldn't really do much about it. And that's where I used up a lot of my tires in that first run. I think my tires were about 8% worse than my teammates, so certainly isn't ideal, but I took that information, went on with the race, and I guess it all worked out in my favor there at the end. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, and I guess that's all right.
Hey, you take what you can get, right? Man, you're going to walk away with the points lead here. Next week, we are definitely headed into a slightly different track. Talk to us about what it's going to look like next week to kind of make those changes from Auto Club to a different track.
Yeah, it's Iowa, right?
Yes.
It should be a much better race. It was a bit difficult tonight to find that track position and maintain it. Like if you were out more than 2/10 in the lead there, you were in a really bad position once the field got stacked up and caught up to you. So that won't be as much of a factor next week, and hopefully we'll have ourselves an honest race.
Awesome, man. Well, congrats. We're going to let you do your shout-outs. Do you have your cue card ready?
Yeah, I got it.
Go for it, man.
We're good. I'd like to thank Apex Energy, Boone Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Butt Kicker, Evan Pienta Designs, UD Awards, Martin Sports, and DSS for supporting the league and me by extension. Looking forward to getting back at it wherever we are next after Iowa. I think it should be
Darlington.
Is it Talladega? Darlington? Oh,
yep.
Man. All right. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these next few weeks go, but I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations. We'll let you go celebrate that victory with your teammates.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, so you heard from Aaron Smith there as he's in victory lane at the end of the night for 2 weeks in a row, I should say. Another winner we've got in the broadcast tonight is the winner of the diecast, Mark Fike. You are the winner of the Kyle Larson diecast. You can email us at ssracingleagues@gmail.com. Get us your contact info. We'll ship that out to you absolutely free of charge. We'll be giving away another one next week. So if you didn't win tonight, go ahead, make sure you're subscribed so you get notified of the race next week and you can win as well. Let's walk through the top 10, Chris. We already heard from the top 3, but Braxton DeWeese deserves an honorable mention for that charge at the end of the race after getting really heavy damage early on in the goings of the Evan Pienta Designs 175. And Steve McDonald brings it home fifth. Hangs on older tires. 19-lap old tires, Chris, compared to 8 laps all around him back through 8th position. So Steve McDonald, shout out, hard racer award of the night. That's one of those, if we had a driver of the race, Steve McDonald might be a fan vote winner there. Randy Bechtel brought it home in 6th after starting on the pole. Jacob Sala fought back to 7th. Chase Berry 8th after getting taken out, not taken out, I guess, but in heavy damage earlier on, but he had time to fix that. Evan Pienta, after leading in the closing laps, brings it home 9th. Scotty Sobczak finishes 10th.
Yeah, and Chase Berry starting nearly shotgun on the field, gained 30 positions tonight. A lot of drivers gaining a lot of positions. Of course, there was a lot of carnage out there, but a lot of drivers doing yeoman work to get through the field there. And we'll roll through the rest of the field right here, 11 through 20. Brandon Ayers, we saw him sliding through the grass as well. Of course, a lot of these drivers, I think almost everybody slid through the grass at some point. Brings it home 11th. Nick DeCesare as well, involved in crash, brings home 12th. Rye Jones recovers from his incident for 13th. Kyle Ryan 14th. Sean Johnson was looking really good before that little incident there before the end right there. He's going to bring it home 15th. Dan Bird 16th. Alberto Alvarez in 17th. Paul Thomas 18th. Derek Fike in 19th, and Richard Hurst, who I thought might have had the speed to possibly get it done there on the top, is going to bring it home in 20th tonight.
21st is Johnny Rapp in his 100th start. He's going to have to settle for 21st. Daniel Blau, after a couple of tough goings and losing control of the car, finishes 22nd. Matt Kuntz involved in a couple incidents, 23rd. At this point, Chris, we're talking about lots of drivers involved in incidents over the course of the race. The 24th finisher Jordan Ives brings it home in that 18th position, or 18th car. Steve Vest finishes 25th. 26th is Logan Truitt. He was up near the front much of the evening, as was 27th place finisher Ken Dorian Davis in the 54. James Danforth also had a fast car in kind of the middle stage of the race. He finishes 28th. Robert Hattenbach ran in the top 7 most of the early part of the race, finishes 29th. Patrick Pieper, also another hot rod early in the race, finishes 30th. 31st was Eric Lagasse. 32nd, Brandon Waldrop. 33rd was Sam Stoner, who was running the top 15 for a better part of the race. Landon Cardulo also had speed. Scott Tompkins, 36th. Patrick Colby, 37th. Ryan Hinkle, 38th. Dale Mickelson, 39th. Matt Scherf, 40th. Shane Coker finishes 41st on the evening, Chris. Unfortunately, lots of drivers involved in issues and just, we talked about it. It's a product of the racing we saw out there over the course of the evening. Cars were very loose. Drivers were taking it 4 wide. You're going for every ounce of position, every inch of position you can get on the track, Chris. And we just saw 4 wide battles kind of go wrong more often than not. And I think that was the story tonight. A little bit surprised based on what we saw in our practice race, but the energy intensifies in a real race, regular season, and we saw that kind of play a role tonight. So I think most drivers are going to be happy to roll it into Iowa next week, into a shorter track where maybe we can get a little bit more separation. And I think you and I will also be glad of that as well.
Yeah, Iowa will put on a much different type of race. Should be a great race, a great show. Really looking forward to seeing these cars out there, and sort of coincides with the real-life NASCAR Cup Series race in Iowa this weekend. So a lot of drivers will have that fresh in their memory banks. The type of racing that they might see this weekend that we'll possibly see on the track next Tuesday night as well. And then Darlington the week after that. So a couple of weeks of some really great action that's very different than the type of racing, the pack racing that you saw here tonight.
Absolutely. Big different race coming up next week at Iowa. As always, that'll be next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Time. Continue to tune in every single week. Play the Flavor Apex Energy Flavor Fight game. We'll be giving away another diecast next week in the chat. Mark VK, congratulations on winning tonight. Chris, I think it's about time to wrap it up. We're appreciative of all of our partners you heard from over the course of the race. They make this possible. We can't wait for race 3 next week at Iowa. So for tonight, everybody, from Autoclub Speedway in Fontana, California, this has been Ellis and Chris in the booth. So long, everyone. We'll see you next week at Iowa.